Hello YouTube, Marcus Aurelius here, and I'm venturing into a new subject today. Something I've debated for a long time whether I wanted to do this or maintain my anonymity, and I decided that the information that I had to share with people was more valuable than me worrying about my anonymity. So that being said, this is my first prepper video, and I'm gonna, despite the fact that there's already 10 billion videos on this subject, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in for what that's worth, about what I think about go bags and the like. And I'll start by saying that for the years that I've been doing this, it didn't take me long to discover that there was no way to pack the perfect go bag. It's impossible, because you cannot be prepared with one bag this size or even a large rucksack. You cannot be prepared for any scenario or every contingency. It's impossible with one bag. So I've got a lot of different bags for a lot of different purposes. And the way that I've constructed my setup is that I have numerous bags, and I call it my Minuteman kit. So whatever I happen to need for whatever the emergency happens to be, I can pack what I need within a few minutes. Alright, that being said, I'm going to show you the 2 bags that I have here. This bag right here is what I packed for my wife. This is what she carries in the car with her at all times. This is a good emergency, generic emergency type bag. This is the bag I carry every day. I carry this bag back and forth every day to work. And we'll get into that some other time, because I'm going to show you how that rolls into the other bags that I have. And my Minuteman kit, which would be a much longer video than I care to do today. So as I said, there's 10 million videos like this out there, but I thought I had some valuable insights to share with folks that might be getting into prepping or getting into putting together a basic emergency kit for their family. This has been a huge labor of love over a lot of different years for my wife and for my kids. They each have one of these bags, but for my kids and for my wife, it'll be something that they'll be able to carry with them and have a little bit of sense of security that they have a lot of things that you might need in the event of a natural disaster or, God forbid, something man-made. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open this pocket, the front pocket, and the first thing we're going to pull out is, bam, my bag inventory list. I wish I could take credit for this idea, but this was actually my wife's idea, because she said, "Thank you so much for making me this bag, but when there's an emergency, how do I know what's in it? How do I know if I have what I need?" So she said, "Why don't you make a list?" And this is that. So this is my bag inventory list, and not only does it list everything in the bag, but it also tells you where to find it in the bag. So we've got the front pocket, we've got the secondary compartment, and then we've got the main compartment. And each one of those is itemized so you know exactly where to find what you need when you need it. Great idea. The other good point about that is if you ever take something out of the bag, you'll know what to replenish and where it needs to go back. Alright, the only other thing in this front, it's sort of a flat zip pocket, which is why it doesn't hold a whole lot, is a multi-tool. I use these things every day. Now I keep one on my belt at all times, so I don't even have one of these packed in my bag. But since my wife doesn't carry one of these every day, it's in her emergency bag, and she's got that if she needs it. This is a Leatherman. You could make a whole video on multi-tools. I actually prefer what I carry now, which is the newest Gerber, or the latest Gerber multi-tool. It's half the price of a Leatherman, and I believe it's a much smarter design. So I'm a big fan of the Gerber multi-tool. Alright, multi-tool. Then we get into the outside pockets. Let's do that first. Over on this side, oh, and let's talk about the bag. You know, the bag that I had up here a little while ago that I carry, I decided after I had made these that it wasn't such a great idea to have everybody kitted out like they're in the service, because it kind of screams out, hey, look at me, I've got all this stuff. If you had to go on foot. This is something she carries in the car, and the ones that my kids have, they'll carry in their vehicles with them wherever they go. So if I were to do this again, I would buy a bag that is toned down. You don't want something bright and colorful like half the stuff you see out there, blaze orange and red and yellow, stands out like a sore thumb. So that's why I bought that gray bag, because it's pretty toneless, you know. It doesn't scream out, hey, look at me. So this can be purchased at Walmart. I think I paid between $20 and $25 for this bag. I think the other bag is a slightly bigger capacity as far as quart size or whatever they measure it in. And that one was a little bit more expensive, but it was under $30. So in the side pocket over here, good thing to have, and this isn't actually what my wife keeps in this bag, because this is what I keep in that other bag. It's deep woods off in case you run into some nasty mosquitoes or whatever, ticks. Good thing to have on you, or something similar. Probably better to have more natural type stuff if you've got kids, rather than those really nasty chemicals. But good in an emergency situation, regardless. Pair of good gloves. These are mechanics. They're a good glove. You can get, these cost around $15, but you can get ones, I use some for work that are made by a company called Blue Hawk, and they've got nitrile palms, so they're really good for gripping, and they fit your hands very tight, which is why I wear them for what I do, because they fit tight on my fingers and I can manipulate things very easily. But these are good gloves. You can get ones cheaper, as I said. Those Blue Hawks you can purchase, I think, at Lowe's for like $4, and you can't go wrong with that. Alright, so we'll get into the first compartment here. Open this up, and bam! First thing you see is hopefully this. That's the intended. That's my homemade first aid kit. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. These little zip-up bags are heavy-duty constructed, well-made. You can get them at Lowe's for like $10, and you get 3 or 4 of these little bags of varying sizes. But this is just a little first aid kit that I put together. We have an additional first aid kit in the car, but you know, it's one of those big plastic ones. And if you had to leave your vehicle, you still want to have a first aid kit with you. You don't want to be lugging around something that's this big in a box, as well as this. So this has got everything you need. Also has a large splint. Another source of light, glow sticks, $1 at the dollar store or Dollar Tree, depending on where you live. Sunscreen, good thing to have if you have to take to the road, SPF 30, or get on foot. This is probably one of the best things in this bag because it was cheap. I don't know how much I paid. I think it was $4 or something. But it's got a really loud whistle on it. You can buy this at Walmart. It's got a lanyard, throw it around your neck. You've got a whistle. You've got a a flint here for striker, for striking up a fire. with a knife. Hopefully you have one of those, or you could use your multi-tool. It's sealed so it's waterproof, contains matches, a compass, a mirror, and I think I had to put the matches in. I don't believe it came with matches. But that's what that's for, that little compartment, or whatever you want. You can put a mini fishing kit in there, I suppose. A dust mask. You never know what could happen. You could, especially if you're in a city, like we saw with 9/11. This is a really good particulate mask. It's not just a crappy little carpenter's dust mask. It's for screening out more fine particulate matter, and a couple different pairs of nitrile medical gloves, non-latex. That's the important thing, because if you come up on somebody that's got a latex allergy and you need to help them or whatever, you don't want to be using latex. Snacks, good for when the kids are with her and there's something that happens. Well, we got some beef jerky here. Got a couple of Cliff bars to tide you over so you can get your next meal. We've got some fire starting materials, candles, which are a great way to start a fire if your tinder or your kindling is damp. You can put a tea light, and that works really well. They're lightweight and they're cheap. Then I got one of those little Zippo bricks, or they're called Zip, I guess it's just Zip. Lighting bricks, and then one of these military style ones. All good for starting fires or cooking or whatever. Waterproof safety matches. And a little spool of paracord. And that's it for that. That's it for that pocket. And then I think I also have some, she's got some 12 gauge flares and some extra batteries. And those extra batteries are for a radio that's in here. I don't ever pack anything in the bag with batteries in it, because it's easy to forget what has batteries in it, what doesn't, so it's just easier to put the batteries in separate, so that if they do go bad in your bag, because if you keep this in your car, it's going to be getting hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, which is not good for batteries, so you do need to make sure you change those out every once in a while. Alright, main compartment. Oh, before we get to the main compartment, little tiny zipper on the top. And I should also say, for what this bag costs, compared to some of the stuff I've seen on YouTube for survival bags, this bag's $25 tops. And it's got nice padding in the back. The shoulder straps are quite well padded. It's got the thing that goes across. Now, it doesn't have a waistband, but you don't need one for a bag that's this size or this light, really. Especially if you're only going to be traveling, short distances. Which in my situation, it wouldn't be, long distances that you'd have to carry this. We live and work pretty close to home. So, I just wanted to add that in there about that, because for, some people spend $50, $100, $200, $300 on a bag that's just going to sit there and probably never be used. It's crazy. So, go cheap. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this bag. Nothing wrong at all with this bag for the purposes that we're using it for. We're not going on campaign here. This is just for emergency cases or emergency scenarios only. Alright, so inside, most of these bags that you see out there they're not waterproof. So I put a dry bag inside. And that keeps all my necessaries, or I can even add more stuff in. There's still space in here, believe it or not. And before I get into the dry bag, I wanted to go to this top zipper that I never got to. Right there, very easily accessible, bam! Your headlamp. This thing is probably one of the most valuable pieces of equipment you can have with you. Because if it's dark when you have a problem, you do not want to have something that you've got to hold like a flashlight. Doesn't have batteries in it, but guess what? The batteries are right there in the top of the bag for it. With the headlamp, pop them in, get it going, and you're good to go, and easily accessed. All right, so we'll get into the dry bag now. Pop this out of here. I'm going to set this to the side. And inside the dry bag, this is a heavy duty one. You can get ones at Walmart that are pretty cheap, and I think they work, they're pretty effective, but they're not the same quality. I do have some of those that I use in other bags that I have, particularly like for if I'm going hiking with my kids for the afternoon or something. I have one of those in my little hiking pack. First thing that's in here is something really important, a water filter, in case you're in a situation where you don't have anything to drink, any fluids. In a survival situation, it's really important that you're drinking fluids. This little Sawyer filters supposedly 100,000 gallons of water by itself. Can be attached to any plastic water bottle or like a Pepsi bottle. If you didn't have one with you, you can pretty easily find one in a ditch on the roadside or in the woods, just about anywhere, sadly. But anyway, you want to have a way to get clean water. And these run $20 at Walmart. Great little sleeping bag. Maybe you need to stay in your car for the night. You don't have the fuel to keep it running, to keep the heat on, so and you wouldn't want to do that anyway. Really, you want to conserve as much as you can if you're in that kind of a situation. But great little sleeping bags. I believe I bought these for about $25 on eBay. They're made by a company called Nature Hike Outdoors. I think it's good down to around 40 degrees. And with some of the other stuff in this bag and everything, you'd be just fine even down below that. It says on the bag that it's good down to 15 degrees Celsius, but I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. It's not a mummy bag, it's a square bag. Mummy bags generally, I have not been able to find a mummy bag for less than $40. And if you're trying to do things economically like I did, because most people, I would say, are on a budget, and you can spend, there's no end to this survival stuff. There is absolutely no end to it. You could spend as much money and buy as much stuff as you want, and it'll still never be enough. So at some point you kind of got to draw a line in the sand, which is what I did, and say this is my goal, and I'm going to have and a good way to start out is just to say I'm going to start off getting 3 weeks worth of provisions, and put together 3 weeks worth of provisions. I think the government says you should have at least 3 days of drinking water, and 3 days of drinking water is not a lot. So I would shoot for something more like 3 weeks to begin with. And then you can go from there and decide what your line in the sand is going to be. You can either do 3 months worth of stuff, or you can do 3 years, or whatever you think you can meet within reason. MRE, got a lot of calories, keep you going. It's not the greatest food in the world, that's for sure. Have a submersible Uniden or Uniden, however you want to pronounce that, walkie-talkie here. I have one as well, and they've got a pretty good range. Another good, probably better way to go is getting something that's like a radio, a ham radio. Handheld ham radio would be probably the best thing to get. Got this shirt at, these go for about, I think I paid $70 for 2 of these on eBay. Not waterproof, but synthetic. So if you're cold and wet, this is a great thing to have. Throw this on, keep you warm. And down at the bottom of the bag, anybody that's been in the service will recognize this. It's the old, I think it's an M42 field jacket. It's the liner for the old field jackets. And this is a great thing to have. Put it in all my kits because this thing will keep you warm. If you got nothing else but a short sleeve shirt on, you throw this on underneath it and it'll keep you warm in a tight spot. And then the last thing in here is a roll of duct tape. Duct tape's good. Another good tape to maybe pack in your bag is electrical tape. I carry electrical tape in mine, but I thought duct tape was kind of a better all-arounder. Sometimes electrical tape doesn't work when it's cold, and duct tape pretty much sticks to anything, anytime. Anyway, I think that's it. We've gone through the whole bag, its contents. I'm going to be making more prepper videos because I think I do have a little bit of knowledge and insight based on the number of years I've been doing this, and just thought it was a good idea to share it with you guys. And if you found this video helpful, would you go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe, because that really helps us out. And hope you have a great day.